Okay, so I saw this video on YouTube the other day regarding the direction of AI and like how ultimately like programmers aren't going to necessarily go away, but it's going to change. Like ultimately it's providing access to computer systems via contracts. That's what we do as programmers. But ultimately, like a lot of people do this in their jobs, of course, judges and lawyers, they create contracts, but we create contracts when we work together or when we have families. Like everything we do as a society, as people, it's all based on contracts. And that's really what software engineering and really programming is we're just creating a contract between humans and between machines. And so that's the important point to kind of start with. So if we continue on with that theory that everything's a contract, the next thing that we can consider is like we can look at different aspects of different kinds of contracts. I have the hypothesis, at least, that basically the Bible is a contract. It's a social contract. It's a giant social contract that we're all trying to understand how to live by. But here's the thing, just like any other contract, a contract requires lawyers, and lawyers try to understand what the law actually says. So there's the problem with that is that then we end up lawyering each other all the time. Does it mean this? Does it mean that? What does this mean? What does that mean? You shouldn't do this. You should do that. And that's all fine and well and good. That's the basis of morality. But ultimately, I think that what it all is pointing down to, or what it's all pointing to, is Jesus. And what did he say about all of the laws, rules, and regulations that are in the Bible? What did he say about it? I think that's a very fundamental and super important question that we need to all ask. And ultimately, we can answer this question, I believe. It's listed a couple of times in the gospel. I think it's listed in Luke. I forget the exact scripture, but I know the one out of Matthew 22:36, and it's specifically the Pharisees were asking Jesus, okay, what law do you follow here? What law do you follow there? And ultimately, being quick-witted and knowing ultimately what all of these laws, rules, and regulations were about, because that's what he spent his entire life studying, he was able to come back with the perfect answer. And that answer it's simple. He says it's to love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul, and all your strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. So ultimately, what he was trying to tell us is that you can live two lives. You can try to figure out what all the laws, rules, and regulations are about, and you can do your best to try to keep them and to argue with other people about them and to correct them if you want. Or he's giving you an easy way. He's giving you a simple way. He's saying it's so simple. It's so simple. All you got to do is love. Love, 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 love. That's the answer. So this begs another question, why is this so hard for us? Ultimately, why do we live these lives of where we want to try to judge each other and to live up to these impossible standards that even we can't live up to as well? Why do we want to do that? And I think the reason we want to do that is that we've forgotten who God is. Ultimately, at the end of the day, if God, assuming there is a God, and assuming this God created the universe and wrote down his word via the Bible, ultimately we have to ask ourselves, what would the role of this God be? And ultimately, it's the creator, writer of the law, the judge, jury, and executioner. And if we trust in that and say, okay, there is this sense of justice in the universe that supersedes my own ability to dole out justice, and I'm going to let him deal with whatever happens, ultimately it becomes very freeing, very liberating, because at that point, we don't have to try to be the lawyers. We don't have to try to be the police officers. Ultimately, we can be free to love other people because we're no longer bound by the necessity to try to save people, the necessity to try to lead people. Ultimately, the answer is to just love them. And if they see who you see by your love, well, ultimately, I think that's the point.